Hi again, everybody. This is Dave, and I want to thank you for joining me. I have an update with a surprise to my last video. For those of you that saw that, I want to thank you. If you haven't watched my most recent one prior to this, probably better to go back and watch that one before this. But basically, in that one, I talked about how I won't be able to go out and hunt to add to my Elvis collection because of health issues. Well, got a little bit surprised for that. I was looking online and I noticed that there was an estate sale just a few minutes from where I live. And so my wife drove me over to it. We kind of checked it out. It was in a fairly small home. The stuff I was looking for was in a one small area. So she was able to help me around. There was a ramp that led up into the house, so it went pretty well. I found a lot of Elvis records in various levels of condition: LPs, 45s, 8-track cassettes, just about everything, box sets, CDs, but they varied. Some had been used quite a bit, and some it looked like hadn't been used at all. And I kind of got the background of what happened, and what it was there was a lady who lived in the home who was a big Elvis fan, and she had passed away, and her siblings and niece were conducting the sale. And it turned out that basically at one point her grandma also lived with her. She was also a big Elvis fan, and it looked to me like what happened was, if they had two of the same record, probably what they did was use one quite a bit, and the other one they may have opened it, but played it only once, because a lot of the vinyl I found looked brand new, and some of it looked like it had been used quite a bit. So I kind of think that's what happened. So I found some stuff that I wanted, took it to the checkout area. It had been so long since I'd been out and been to a sale, I forgot to even check if we had any cash, and the stuff that I chose added up to about 25% more than the cash that we had. So I said to the lady, I'd like to buy a bulk here, offered her what we had, and they said yes. So that turned out to be good, and it turned out that I paid on average less than $6 per record. So let me show you real quick what I got. To start with, I got the Elvis Full album from '73. I don't believe I have an original one of this, but even if I do, it's not in this kind of shape. I know with this, the black background often leads to ring wear, nicks, dings, that kind of thing. So I wanted to get it because even if I do have it, it's definitely an upgrade. One kind of strange thing, I don't know if you can see this, but the original price tag was taken off of the shrink and put right in the middle. So I didn't want to bother. I don't know if you can notice it or not, but I didn't want to bother taking it off and possibly leaving a mark. One other thing about my collection is when I sleeve these up, I take the records out and the inner sleeve out, because I don't put the records behind it, because I love the backs of these. I think the backs are just as nice as the fronts to look at in a lot of cases. So I have the cover, and then what I do is leave the original vinyl, or leave the vinyl that I have in with the inner sleeves, and I sleeve those up too. I know a lot of people don't do that, but I love the inner sleeves. I love what RCA did with the Elvis inner sleeves, starting like in the early 60s and going through the rest of his life, where they had these advertisements. So they're good for art's sake, and they're good for ad's sake. I like to see those, the quad 8s, the twin pack 8 tracks, that kind of stuff is fun to look at. So there's one. Another one I got was the 71 Love Letters from Elvis. This was a 1S pressing. Again, I left the back blank or open to see. This is the version where RCA is up at the top. From what I understand, I don't know if this is true, but from what I understand, the Colonel didn't like the fact that RCA was above Elvis's name, and they redid it then and had Elvis up at the top and RCA down at the bottom. So this is the first version where the Love Letters From is all on one line. I don't believe I have the other one, so I'd like to try to find that as well. They both count as originals because they both have the same matrix number. The vinyl is real nice on that. Again, that was a 1S. And one other one that I got was the original Loving You mono 1515 pressing from his first LP soundtrack to be released from 1957. This is in very nice condition. It has a little bit of a ding in the bottom left. Probably can't see it. It's more on the back than in the front, but that was more than fine with me because this is, I believe this is only the second 1950s LP that I've been able to get. So this helps a lot for the collection. Again, it's kind of different. The price tag, original price tag is in the back at the bottom. You know, there was no shrink at this time in the 50s. So that's probably how it came. $2.50, $2.50 to buy this originally in 1957. The vinyl, I don't know if it's playable or not. I'm hoping it's just a lot of dust. There's also one big thumbprint on there. But I have the vinyl in with, I am assuming this was the original inner sleeve, a clear inner sleeve at the time because it's really beat up. And they had a lot of, just about everything they had either was the original stuff or no inner sleeve on some. Okay, now the rest of these all have something in common. And this is kind of my ode to Mr. Mayo and to Beatle Brad. I've become a big fan of shrink wrap. I know when I first started collecting vinyl, and this was back not to collect, but to, as the records came out, to play them, you know, before there were CDs or anything. I heard so much, you need to take the shrink off because it will warp the record, it will bend the record, cause problems with the playing of it. But then as I eventually became a collector, I kind of thought the shrink looked cool. And hearing those guys talk about it and showing their collections where they show the shrink, I like that. I like the original price stickers where you can see where it was purchased. You can just think of somebody at the factory selling it up, or you can think of somebody at the record store 40 some odd years ago, 50 years ago, putting this price tag on. I like the hype stickers, things like that. So those guys kind of convinced me that if you could find it in shrink, to try to get it. The other thing is, it's not always the case. There are rules to the exception, but I kind of find where if the shrink is still on it, the people took care of it. The whole package, the inner sleeve, the vinyl, everything. It's not always the case, but it's definitely the case with these. So let me show you what I got in the shrink. This is He Touched Me from '72 in the shrink, and the original price tag still on it. It was on sale, it looked like, when they got it. So this is now in my collection with the shrink, so I'm happy about that. Maybe one day I'll be able to get the Grammy on the shrink. Original inner sleeve. Kind of a funny thing about the vinyl on this, it looks like it was only played one time. There's no spindle wear on it or anything. It's clean. There's no markings or anything, no dust. However, when I first looked at it, there was a scratch on one side. So I thought, wow, it either came that way or the only time they ever took it out, there was a scratch. I got it home to put it in the sleeve. I couldn't find the scratch. I held it up to the light. I turned on an overhead light and held it up to the overhead light. I could not find the scratch. I looked on both sides, so apparently it was just the way the light was hitting it or something when I first saw it at the estate sale, because it's in beautiful condition. All right, from just prior to that, Elvis Now, again in the shrink, and the original price tag. They got these, looks like, at the same exact place because it's the same type of price sticker on it. And inner sleeve, look at this, they're advertising cassette tapes on both sides. So cassettes were very new at that time, 71. 71, 72 era. And the vinyl is just terrific on this. All right, still in the shrink. Purchased the same exact place it looks like, because it has this original price tag on it. Madison Square Garden. This was not a 1S pressing. I believe it was 2. It wasn't 1. And by the way, the Loving You one was a 2S Hollywood pressing. But the vinyl on this is really nice. Again, I'm not going to take it out. It was really nice. There is one that looked like thumbprint on it as I pulled it out. So I'll definitely have to clean it at some point. And it should look great then. 2 more. This is Separate Ways Camden. It's the original because it has the advertisement for Aloha coming up. Kind of a cool thing here. It's the shrink. It's the original price tag of $1.97. If you notice, Camden, such a budget. This was cheaper to purchase originally than Loving You, even though this came out 15 years later. And again, people put down these Camdens. I love the backs of the Camdens. I think they're so cool looking, where they list the previous Camdens with the songs. And then it did have the bonus postcard right here. When I first saw this, I couldn't quite figure out what happened here. I thought probably that they took the postcard out, got it stuck into the shrink, and I thought, why would they do that? Why would they risk that? Because they obviously wanted the shrink still on there. Plus, I was like, how did they get that so nice? Well, now I believe, after looking at some others, that this is the way it came. I saw a Separate Ways original Camden online that was sealed, that had, even though it had never been opened, the postcard, the bonus postcard, was inside the shrink. You could see it instead of opening the record. And that one was placed actually in the back, in the middle, and horizontal. So this is cool that this one is in the front and vertical, like where, it looks like someone intended it to be there. But I really believe now that that bonus item didn't come inside the record, but came inside the shrink. So I'm just going to leave it like that. There was no inner sleeve on this, so I have a feeling what it was if they saw an inner sleeve that didn't have Elvis' picture on it, they may not have wanted it, because they had other Camdens that weren't in as good a shape as this one, and none of them had inner sleeves. I think they threw out the inner sleeves. And then this is the highlight for me from Elvis in Memphis, in the shrink, and with the hype sticker, and with the original price tag. This was on sale at Kmart when they purchased it for $3.37. Original $4.98 marked down. But I don't have many of the hype stickers, so being able to come up with one was good. I looked through the whole thing, looked inside the album, looked inside the inner sleeve, and the bonus photo was not there. So I'm really hoping that somewhere in my where my collection is stored, that I have that bonus photo somewhere. It's 50-50. I think I might, but I'm not real sure. And then these inner sleeves from the 60s, I just love these. Look at this. It's just like art. Elvis's picture, good advertising. It made everybody happy. Probably Colonel would be happy because they had all the advertising on it. A new way to hear Elvis. Look at that. Double-sided 8 tracks. So I just love these inner sleeves. And like I said, I sleeve them up separately so I can look at them just as much as I look at the LP. So that's what I got at that estate sale. Again, I was very happy. I went out for the first time in a long time, added to my collection for the first time in about 3 years. So I just wanted to update with these LPs that have been added to my collection. I want to thank everybody for watching. Before you turn it off, though, I want to show you one thing downstairs and update you with one thing. Thank you. Well, as you can see, the 43-year-old copper piping from the last video is all gone and replaced by new piping. So the next step in the procedure is to close this in with new ceiling, drop ceiling tile to go in over this, and then we can start to be on our way to put the collection together and bring it back out. Thank you for watching. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.